Welcome to this explainer. Right now, you're doing something that is, quite literally, a biological miracle. Today, we're going to explore how the simple act of reading physically alters the actual architecture of your brain. It's totally fascinating, and by the time we wrap this up, you might seriously rethink every text, every screen, and every single book you touch. So let's start with a really simple question. Were humans meant to read? You know, when I first looked into this, the answer actually shocked me. Because it's an absolute no. Think about it. Spoken language evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. But reading? It's only about 5,000 years old. That is nowhere near enough time for evolution to build a dedicated reading center in our minds. So reading is actually an evolutionary accident. It's a completely man-made invention that our biology just had to figure out how to adapt to. Right, so how on earth do we actually do it? Well, since we don't have a natural reading center, our brains have to rely on something called neuroplasticity. That's basically your brain's superpower to reorganize itself and form brand new neural connections on the fly. To read, your brain literally has to hack its own visual and motor systems. It chains them together to decipher text in less than half a second. It's like this incredible improvisation masterclass happening right beneath your awareness. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the evolutionary reading accident. Now, what's really wild is what goes down in a specific little patch of your left visual cortex. In non-readers, this area is mainly used for recognizing faces and objects. But when you learn to read, your brain essentially hijacks this tissue. It repurposes it into what neuroscientists call the visual word form area. It becomes this hyper-specialized pattern recognition expert just for text. It spots shapes, hands them off to your sound mapping regions, and shoots them over to your language networks, all in a fraction of a second. It's absolutely amazing. Moving on to Section 2, rewiring your brain's architecture. So, check this out. Your brain has gray matter, right? That's basically the data processing center. But it also has white matter, and you can think of that as the high-speed communication network connecting everything together. Well, researchers at Carnegie Mellon actually found that the intensely challenging act of reading physically rewires your brain to create more white matter. Yeah, reading literally generates brand new, high-speed neural pathways so your brain can communicate with itself way faster and way more efficiently. And the benefits of this are just massive. I mean, look at this number, 50. MIT researchers tracked brain activity and discovered that sustained reading permanently increases your concentration span by a staggering 50%. It lights up your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain that handles critical thinking, and it actually strengthens it. And that's not just while you have a book open, but permanently. It even protects your brain down the line. A long-term study out of the University of Michigan found that reading just 30 minutes a day is linked to living, on average, 2 whole years longer. Plus, researchers in Hong Kong tracked thousands of older adults and proved that a daily reading habit dramatically reduces the risk of developing dementia. You are quite literally building a stronger, more bulletproof brain. All right, on to Section 3, the empathy simulation engine. Charlie Munger, one of the greatest investors ever, had this perfect way of describing the compounding effect of reading. He called it building a latticework of mental models. When you read widely, jumping into history, psychology, science, you're basically downloading entirely different operating systems into your head. Your brain starts connecting all these disparate ideas across different disciplines, and it forms this incredibly unique intelligence that just helps you understand how the real world actually works. But when it comes to fiction, something even crazier happens. It's called embodied cognition. When you read about a character running, or maybe feeling anxious, the left temporal cortex of your brain lights up the exact same sensory and motor regions as if you were doing it yourself. No joke, your brain is simulating physical actions and emotions in real time. And Harvard studies actually show that this rehearsal makes you significantly better at reading real-world social cues. It's like the ultimate empathy simulator. Let's jump to Section 4, paper books versus digital screens, and why the media matters so much. Okay, so when researchers hook people up to EEG machines to monitor their brainwaves, the difference between reading mediums is literally night and day. Print reading triggers beta and gamma waves. These are your active, problem-solving, laser-focused brainwaves. But when you read the exact same text on a digital screen, your brain actually shifts into theta and alpha waves. Those are linked to a much lighter mental state, mind wandering, and a brain that's basically just idling. And eye tracking data brilliantly illustrates exactly why this happens. Reading on physical paper is a lot like exploring a landscape. You have these physical spatial anchors, right? You can feel the thickness of the pages in your hands. You remember that a specific idea was up there on the top left, and your eyes naturally loop back to review complex points. Digital reading, on the other hand, forces your eyes into what they call an airport line. It's this linear, infinite scroll with zero spatial landmarks. You're just constantly rushed forward, and you almost never look back. And the consequences of this shift are huge. A recent 2024 meta-analysis looking at dozens of studies proved that print readers score 24% higher on comprehension tests than digital readers. 24%. And here's the absolute kicker. Print readers actually process the information 10 to 30% faster, too. Your brain is just fundamentally optimized for the spatial, physical reality of paper in a way that it simply is not optimized for glowing pixels. Bringing us to Section 5, the digital illusion of learning. So, this brings up a really crucial concept called metacognitive failure. When tested, digital readers consistently say they feel way more confident about what they just read compared to print readers. But then you look at their actual test scores and they're significantly lower. Digital reading creates this wild illusion of learning. You feel super productive as you scroll, but your brain is actually barely engaged, and it's actively blocking deep knowledge retention. Researchers point to a sort of triple whammy that causes the whole thing. First up is cognitive overload. Basically, screens divide your working memory because you're managing scrolling and subconsciously resisting notifications at the same time. Second is the lack of embodied experience. You just don't have those physical, spatial hooks to hang your memories on. And third is the shallowing effect. Our entire digital environment has basically conditioned us to just skim around for keywords instead of actually settling into deep, sustained thought. And listen, the impact of this is incredibly profound, especially for developing brains. Studies have actually found that having just one single physical book in a child's home literally doubles their odds of academic success. Just one. But when those same researchers checked homes that only had digital ebooks to see if they offered the same benefit, the correlation completely vanished. Ebooks totally fail to replicate the cognitive development that gets triggered by physical books. Finally, Section 6, building a bi-literate brain. So, we don't have to throw away our phones entirely, but here's an actionable 3-step framework to actually reclaim your intelligence. Number 1, commit to just 20 minutes of focused reading a day. Now, fair warning, in week 1, your brain is going to fight you on this. It wants that easy dopamine from a screen. You have to push through that. Number 2, choose challenging material that forces your brain to synthesize ideas and simulate experiences. And number 3, pick up a physical book. Seriously, give your brain the spatial map and the tactile experience it naturally needs to encode memory deeply. Because remember, your brain is incredibly plastic. It is constantly rewiring itself based entirely on what you feed it and how you feed it. Every single time you pick up a screen instead of a book, you're making a choice. So I want to leave you with this to think about. Are you yielding to the shallow illusion of digital productivity? Or are you doing the deep cognitive work to build an original mind? What kind of brain are you choosing to build today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.
This exploration of how reading rewires your brain was shaped by insights from creators like Mike and Matty, alongside research from The Plain Guide and Netta Celine. The evidence is clear. Reading isn't just processing words, it's actively building your cognitive architecture. To dive deeper into the original sources, check out the links in the description below. And if you're ready to keep sharpening your mind, explore our playlist and keep learning with us.